Welcome to Tea Time. Welcome to Tea Time with Lorna. Thanks for subscribing and or turning on to the channel today. Hi, welcome. So I had a great week. This week I went to a concert with a friend, and it was a Christian band, and they are called Leland. It was fantastic. I was very surprised because I really didn't know them. I'd heard some of their songs, and I just was excited to go and to meet them and just to see what they were all about. So I highly recommend, if you get the chance to go see them, buy whatever you can and just enjoy being there with them. Today I have a guest, and his name is Mick, and he is an artist. He writes, he does poetry, he does a lot of things. So just welcome him today to Tea Time with Lorna. We're going to enjoy some tea. Let's get started.
Hey, Lorna.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Well, I was born actually here in Bridgeport,
Okay.
and then I was raised in Milford, Connecticut.
Okay.
I lived there until I was about 18 years old, then went to school in Boston, and now I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, I know that you're a writer.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we know each other, because I joined your writing group. So tell me, why did you start that writing group?
Well, I'm currently serving as the first poet laureate of Milford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And there weren't really any guidelines for that role, being the first one. So I decided that it would be nice to start a writing group. I had started a writing group in college that is actually still functioning today. We called it Write Club when I was in it. You know, it's sort of like a fun little, yeah.
Very funny.
Now it's the Creative Writing Society,
Oh.
which, I guess is an upgrade. But it was really successful, and, we built a community there, and so I thought it'd be great to build something similar here in Milford, or
Okay.
here in the area.
Okay, so before we get really into this, tell me, what tea are you drinking today?
So today I am drinking organic goji berry green tea, because, there are a lot of imposter synthetic goji berries floating around.
Okay, that I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Okay. And I am drinking a lemon zinger. Why? Because of all the good properties that come from lemon and ginger. So that's what I'm drinking today. I absolutely love it. So we're going to enjoy our tea while we talk about all the writing he's doing and some of the writing I'm also doing. So
Cheers.
enjoy. So how long has the writing group been going on?
The writing group has been around for a little bit more than a year now.
Okay.
And we had a huge response initially. Like, it was kind of overwhelming. We had probably 35 or 40 people in the first couple meetings. And in my experience, that's usually what happens. People get really excited. Then there's a steep drop-off usually. But in that drop-off, there's a core group of people that really show up and become regulars. And I mean, you've met them. You sort of have an idea of who I'm talking about. It's usually like between 6 to 10 people. And sort of after that stage, there comes like more events and more individual members like taking responsibility, and then there's a steady growth in like membership of core.
So why did you decide to structure the writing group the way you did? The reason I ask this is because I was a member of another writing group in Bridgeport, which I loved, and they do a lot of writing prompts, which I love, and I don't, that was the first writing group I'd ever been a part of, so I had nothing to compare it to. But your writing group, you only do one prompt, and then you move on to other things. So why did you decide to structure your writing group that way?
Well, for a couple reasons. One, there was a response in the community, like, for that kind of structure. When on the first meeting, I brought a survey, and I asked everybody what they wanted. And that was something that they were interested in. But beyond that, on a more personal note, I think it's important for writers to have a place to discuss things that they're working on outside of the writing group and really fine-tune their craft and hone their craft. The prompts are great and the prompts are fun, but I think the really the thing that brings people back is the fact that you get to workshop things, in a really constructive way.
Okay. So from the group that you have now, or even past members, how many people really go on to publish something? And I'm not, short stories and or poems and or whatever. How many people do you think go on?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't really know. Especially like from past groups, I don't really keep in touch. I know a few people have gone on to publish things just because I stayed in touch with them.
Okay.
But I know that a few people like in the group today have gone on to just self-publish a few things, and I'm pretty sure there have been a couple publications as well. I mean, counting myself, I know I've been published, from the work that I've done in the group. So I don't have an exact number, unfortunately.
Okay. I was just curious because I know that I've met a couple of people and they have published, and I was just curious, is that part of the goal of the group? Is it to encourage people to publish? Is it to just let people have an outlet for their creative side? Is there a core belief or substance there that, for people to look forward to, 4 weeks of this and maybe I can do this, or I don't know.
I think that if there's a response in the community and a big drive in the group to get stuff published and to work towards those kind of goals, then I'll implement programming to make that happen. But I think a lot of writers, they feel as though they aren't real writers if they aren't published. Okay. And that's something that I try to combat, because it's sort of a form of gatekeeping. You're a writer if you write stuff. And I really want to just create a place where you can go and share some deeply personal stuff sometimes in a supportive environment of other people who are, of similar mind.
Okay, excellent. Well, I know for me, it has been a great experience going. I've enjoyed it immensely. Like I said, based on the group I'd been at before, I had expected more prompts. It's not a criticism.
No, it's fine.
But I have also really enjoyed getting to know the members and seeing the development of their individual projects. That has been interesting because just to see some people who started writing books and then they're slowly building on that books and how the characters have changed and developed. It's like I guess the old-fashioned radio stuff where you have to tune in every week to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And that's actually how I feel sometimes when I go to the group. This story was going along and maybe I didn't remember the whole story, but as soon as they start to share, I'm like, oh, that's right, the robot almost killed her. What's going to happen next? So that for me is really exciting. And I think very encouraging for the other writers. What is some of the feedback you're getting from other members in the group?
I think that everybody loves it. I think, just like you've said, people get really emotionally invested in other people's projects. I personally can say that I'm also excited every week to hear what happens next in a lot of these stories. And even beyond that, I think I've made a lot of good friends. It's just a community. It's a place where we connect, and it's not just about writing. We learn about each other, through our writing, but we also do just hang out. We did have a little Christmas or holiday gathering, I guess. It wasn't really during Christmas time. It was in January.
It was in January.
But it was we didn't do any writing there. We did a little reading, but we mostly just hung around and talked and connected. And that's really the whole point of writing in the first place, is to make these connections with other people.
Yeah, I think that's great. So I know you do some artwork. Please enjoy your tea.
Yeah, it's a little hot. I don't like it as hot as you do.
Oh, it's okay. I know that you said you also do some artwork or some stuff like that. So tell me a little bit about that. What is that about?
So I paint a little, and I also am starting to move into video and film, that kind of visual medium. But for the longest time, I always sort of entertained the idea of being a painter. I always liked the idea of being a painter.
Okay.
And this is a very anticlimactic story. One day I just went to the store and bought some art supplies and said, all right, let's give it a try.
Okay.
And of course, at first I was terrible. I had no idea. Like, I was never very good at drawing when I was younger. But I practiced, and I've made some pieces that I'm really, really proud of. And I don't know, other people have seemed to like it, but it's never really been my first thing. It's more of a, I would say, a hobby.
Okay.
You know, but I enjoy it, and I enjoy sharing it.
So what do you think drew you to that? Because, I mean, it's creative, obviously, as is writing and the writing process.
Mm-hmm.
But what drew you to art? Because, I mean, are we talking about sketching, or are you talking about clay work? I mean...
I've always been attracted to things that allow me to share my worldview and just express myself and show a little piece of who I am. And, I mean, my visual art is very aesthetic. There's no, for most of them anyways, there's no like deeper meaning.
Okay.
You know, like probably my best piece, the best thing I've ever painted is a man and a woman kissing. And it's just called The Kiss. And it's about love, I guess. It's just about the beauty of two people connecting in a very, immediate way.
So what do you think inspires you? Like, I know when I was growing up, I used to like to draw also.
Mm-hmm.
And I would call myself an average artist when it comes to drawing. I'll call myself an average artist. And with the help of teachers in school,
Mm-hmm.
They can teach you some of the tricks for drawing. So maybe I was an inch above average, but I wouldn't give myself more credit than that. So did you, in your self-teaching,
Mm-hmm.
did you learn any tricks? Did you pick up any books? What did you do to help improve whatever skills you had, natural or otherwise?
So I did take art classes
Okay.
in high school, and I definitely picked up some tricks, like you said. I mean, at this point in history, we have more access to information than we've ever had as a species.
That's
And
true.
so, I mean, YouTube is a wealth of information. A lot of the techniques I've learned from YouTube. I also do have a few just art books that I like to flip through occasionally that detail techniques and show you how to do things step by step. A lot of my painting, actually, it starts on the computer. It starts with a photograph, and then Photoshop, and then I make a grid, and then I draw the grid, and then I draw what's in the grid, and then I have to paint it. It's like many steps, The kiss didn't just start, oh, here we go. Like, it was,
Steps and steps.
a
I
huge
understand.
process.
I understand, because actually that was one of the things that I did in class, where we had a small picture and he taught us how to do the grid, so we could do a huge picture.
Yeah.
And you get to see all the finite pieces within the small one that you can then bring to life.
Mm-hmm.
I had not even thought of doing that again, so that's quite interesting. But those are things you learn on the way.
Yeah.
So do you have like a favorite artist that you follow, or someone that you look up to?
Oh boy, that's such a loaded question. That's a tough one.
Why?
I can't decide. I mean, I can name a few influences. I love Vincent van Gogh. Probably, everybody says that. I like Keith Haring a lot. I take a lot of inspiration from like street art as well. Like Shepard Fairey, Banksy, like those guys. A few friends and I, we like to do some urban exploring. So we'll go to like abandoned buildings and stuff and take pictures. And I mean, so there are artists that I don't even know the name of whose work, inspires me. Yeah, there's too many to list. Basquiat, he's definitely one of my favorites. And whenever I think about him, it always makes me just a little sad, just because, the what do they say? The candle that burns twice as bright burns out twice as fast, or something like that.
Yeah. I know the one.
Yeah.
Do you ever get a chance to go into Manhattan and go into MoMA or the Lincoln Center or any of those places?
Oh, yeah.
Just to visit those stuff?
Yeah. I've been to the MoMA. I've been to the Met. I haven't been to the Lincoln Center yet, but
Okay.
I love visiting the city and seeing the art there. And I mean, I love visiting the local places too. The Yale Art Gallery in New Haven has an amazing collection, and it's free to the public. There's an amazing place right here in Bridgeport, the Knowlton Center, that has a lot of local talent. It's a smaller art gallery. It's studios, and they have open studios all the time. So you don't need to go like all the way into the big city. I mean, that's where the biggest names are, but there's great art right here in our own backyard.
The Norton Center, you said?
The Knowlton Center.
Knowlton?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that, so
yeah.
I guess I'll be doing some research of my own.
Yeah, you should definitely visit it. I don't know if it's called the Knowlton Center. It's Knowlton.
Okay.
I know that. It's in an old factory or like warehouse or something that's been refurbished.
In Bridgeport?
Yeah, in Bridgeport.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's on Knowlton Street. I think that's why it's called that.
I know that last year in New Haven, I'm not sure if you managed to get up to New Haven, but in New Haven last year, they had the International Arts Festival, which was in the summer. I feel like it was in July.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
And they had a lot of free exhibits and stuff to see. I don't know, were you able to get up to that?
I was not, unfortunately. Last summer?
Yes.
Yeah, last summer was a very chaotic time in my life. I don't want to get into it,
okay.
but it was just very crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they do it every year, so we'll both have to look out for that.
I think they do. I think it is I think it's called the Festival of Arts and Ideas. I think that's the full name.
Okay.
So, I think it's a yearly thing.
Okay, so then we'll both look out for that.
Yeah, we'll go on an
this year.
adventure.
Yeah, because I know a couple of people that I suggested go last year, and I sent them the link. And wasn't it for almost 2 weeks, I feel like.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yes.
I know that.
It was very good from the feedback I got from my friends that went. I actually, when I found out about it, I'd already missed a week, and then I already had plans for the rest of the second week, so I didn't make it. But like I said, I sent a couple of people, and they said they had a great time.
Yeah.
So now that I know it's annual, I definitely will look out for it this year, because that sounds like fun.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of free concerts, I know, and I think they do screenings well. I think it's a big, multimedia event.
Yeah, because I feel like they also do some street stuff. That they had some street artists that you could go see, and I think there are even projects that you could join in on. I can't remember all the ins and outs because again it was last summer.
Yeah.
But I know that it was a great experience for my friends that did go. So that's wonderful. So I'm so glad to be able to share this time with you.
Yeah, this is great.
This is really nice. One of the other things you wanted to talk about, and I wanted to hear from you, just about life and how you enjoying the changes that you've made in your life that include all this stuff. I mean, you weren't doing this writing group a year ago, so clearly something, like you shared already, inspired you to do that. So what's the next thing you're going to be doing?
I don't know. I couldn't
There's
tell
an
you.
honest answer.
Yeah. Well, I think we all have plans. We all have things that we'd like to make happen. And I'm just going to take it as it comes. Okay. I'm working. I guess the big goal right now is to get another collection of poetry out. Okay. The working title is Somnambulist. And it's pretty filled out at this point. All I really need to do is just secure a publisher, and it'll be ready to go.
But I noticed, I think today, I spoke to you earlier, that you did have something that was published fairly recently.
Oh, yeah.
That you're in some book. Tell me about that in Massachusetts.
Yeah. So I was recently, one of my poems, which I wrote quite a while ago, was published in the Massachusetts Best Emerging Artists collection, or Emerging Poets collection. Okay. And the poem that they picked up was called Life in Screens.
Okay.
And I mean, it's pretty short, but it's basically about how we spend pretty much every day staring at one screen or another. We go to work, and for many of us, our jobs are to stare at screens, and we get in trouble if we don't look at those screens. Then we go home, and to relax and unwind and chill out, we stare at other screens.
Oh, yeah, the TV and
or our phones. Oh, and then the poem kind of ends on a funny little end note where you go to sleep and you stare at the screen, in your mind, for your dreams.
Can you share a little example of some of your poems? Do you have anything that you have memorized?
Do I have anything memorized? I can try.
Okay, go ahead.
This is...
Just a couple of verses would be cute.
Yeah, this is Kiss with Teeth.
Okay.
A kiss doesn't have to be some sweet nothing whispered through a chink in the wall in the dead of night. A kiss doesn't have to be a flower made of paper and glass. A kiss doesn't have to be a tranquilized animal laying in its cage as tourists shuffle by. A kiss can be a blur of fur and claw and tooth.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's probably one of the only poems of mine I've ever memorized.
Oh, wow.
And it's because it's really short.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but
Why?
I think that really, really great, like you go online and you see some of these poets, especially spoken word artists, they don't read from a manuscript. They just perform. And that's something I was never able to do. I need to read my words exactly as they're written. I don't know why. It's just like maybe it's a mental block. Like I'm sure with practice I could, but some of my poems are really long, and so I just can't, do that.
It's okay. Sometimes we have a lot to say. So, and if you want to get it exactly the way you were inspired to write it, I can see that. I can see that you want to get it that way, and that's fine. I know I've seen poets that it's so artistic when they speak that you are drawn in such a way, and they almost look like they're making it up on the spot. And I'm like, did they make that up? Like, I'm confused. Like, did they make that up, or is that something they memorized? And they managed to make themselves look like part of the poetry. It's very gifting. It can be very soothing, but they can also be very angry.
Yeah. And
Seen
that's where my poetry tends to fall.
Angry?
Definitely.
Why?
Yes. I'm an angry little guy. I don't know. But I know exactly what you mean, especially when they gesticulate. I've always been really impressed with, because it becomes more like acting. It becomes more like giving a monologue than performing a poem. Because you can't write a gesture. You can't, like, the reader wouldn't get that. But I don't know, I've always been really impressed with that and really jealous of people who are able to just perform using their whole body.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Well, I appreciate you sharing with that poem. So what's the next step as far as getting published? You've got this poem right now. What else? Is there anything else that's merging, about to be?
Well, I don't want to spoil it, but I have to send a manuscript to somebody right now. So it's in process. But if it doesn't work out, there's always the avenue of self-publishing.
Yes.
And I think it's been really legitimized these past few years. Some major books have been self-published, at least to start. I shouldn't lead with this example, but 50 Shades of Grey started out life as a Twilight fan fiction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What do you mean Twilight fan fiction?
Someone saw Twilight, and they said, you know what? Well, someone being the person, I think E.L. James is her name. She saw Twilight, and she said, you know what this needs? A lot more weird bondage sex. And that's what happened. She took the characters, and she put them in all these,
I've never actually seen the movies.
Yeah,
I haven't read the book.
So,
but that's interesting.
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey is just all BDSM stuff.
But an offshoot from that's crazy.
Yeah, well, and that's a testament to how big Twilight was, really. The fact that something that was derivative of Twilight became a huge international bestseller and like a 3-movie series.
Yeah, because the third one's coming out soon.
Yeah, but even even The Martian was also a self-published novel.
The Martian, the movie that had.
Yeah, that was a book.
Matt Damon?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, and it became a movie with Matt Damon. Isn't that insane?
Just a little.
A self-published book went through the ringer and became a movie with Matt Damon.
That I think he was nominated for an Oscar for.
Um,
I feel like I couldn't.
It definitely won some sci-fi awards, but I'd be kind of surprised if it actually got a nomination. Just a lot of sci-fi movies, sci-fi, fantasy, horror. Those movies are usually snubbed at the big awards.
Yeah, I feel like it. I feel like it was nominated.
It got something. I think. Remember, it got something for comedy.
It may not have won. I'm not saying it won. I feel like it got a nomination.
Yeah.
Because lately I've noticed in the Oscar that they will nominate things that you would not have expected, and it won't win. But you know what they say? Oh, it's great to be nominated.
I mean, I would
Yeah.
be super excited if something I made got nominated for an Oscar.
That's amazing. I didn't know that about The Martian.
Yeah.
That's very amazing.
So self-publishing has really come a long way from, what they used to call vanity press. Someone who, oh, well, I just want to see my name on a book, so I'm going to pay for it. It's really viable. And it's definitely risky, as a business venture. But, I mean, it's just a chance to put your work out there. And if it's really good, people will see it and people will enjoy it.
So what else you do when you're not writing, when you're not drawing? What else you do? And obviously drinking tea.
Drinking tea, yeah.
What else you do?
What else do I do? I like to cook.
Okay.
I'm not great. I won't be opening a restaurant anytime soon. But I have a few dishes that I'm pretty good at making.
Okay.
I like to hike. I like to be outside. That's really probably one of the consistent things that makes me happy. Is just being in the outdoors and in nature.
You do know that now you've shared about the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be expecting a meal.
Okay.
Of some sort.
I make some really good banana bread. That's probably one of the best things I make.
That sometimes.
Yeah. I'll bring it to the writers group.
Yeah, I won't tell them. Just bring it.
Oh, I'll just give it to you in the parking lot.
No. I didn't mean I don't want to share.
Oh, okay.
I meant I don't want to tell them in case I say it and you don't bring it that day. That's what I really meant.
Oh, they're used to being disappointed by me. It's fine.
That's really what I meant, because
I got you.
I would hate to set myself up like, oh, he's making it, and then everyone is excited, and then you don't.
Well, I don't think they'd be mad at you. I think they'd be mad at me.
Well, yeah, that's true, but I don't want to set you up either.
That's okay. I do enough setting up myself that it's fine.
Oh, good. I'm so glad we had this chance to chat and share some tea and stuff like that. That's really good.
Yeah.
So what's the next big thing that's on the horizon for you, do you think?
Just like creatively or just in my life?
In your life.
In my life. Oh, boy. I don't know. What do I have to look forward to?
Oh, goodness. Surely there must be something.
I really just try to take it day by day, and I really just try to enjoy myself every day in some small capacity. Really, getting Somnambulous out would be a huge win. But I just, really spring. The warm weather will be nice, and just being able to go outside again and be out in nature again would really pick my spirits up, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I want to use this opportunity to thank you for coming to Tea Time with Lorna. This was great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's wonderful getting to know you a little bit better and to know more about you and just to share the experiences with you, drinking tea, which is obviously one of my favorite things in the world. And just to know that for writers, coming up to the group that you run in Milford is a very, very safe place.
Yes.
So,
hopefully.
For creative people, or even for people who are not creative but just want to be around, and if all they want to do is the writing prompts, that's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
But if they want to bring pieces of their work that they're working on, it's a great safe place for them to come and feel comfortable and know that they will get some critique, but they'll get encouragement, and so that's great. So
yeah.
It's a great place.
I actually want to stress that you don't have to be a writer to come to the writers group. You can just come and listen and offer your feedback, as long as it's constructive, as long as you're not just saying, oh, well, this is bad, I don't like it. If you say, oh, well, I don't think this part worked because it sort of doesn't fit with the genre, or, whatever. Just as long as you're there and participating in good faith, that's all that matters.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that's all we have time for today at Tea Time with Lorna. We had a great time talking to my friend Mick. And I'm so appreciate him coming all the way down from Milford, Connecticut, just to be with me and have some tea today.
Of course.
Tune in again next week. I think I have a dancer coming on, and maybe she'll do a pirouette, maybe she won't, I'm not sure. But basically, that's what's going to happen next week. Hopefully, it's the dancer. If not, it will be a surprise guest. Thanks. Be well.
Bye.